Hey, what's going on, fans of the My Hero Academia card game? How are you doing today? What I've got for you today is parts two of a five-part mini-series where I am looking to detail five different decks that I believe are capable of winning the Common Ground side event at HLC in Vegas. Yesterday, we took a look at Earth Ojiro, and while I feel like that deck is a strong contender to take down the whole event, today I've got a deck that I think is actually a solid counter to that. So those of you who are looking at Ojiro thinking that he's the clear choice, I don't think there's anything better, nothing can stop his train, you might be wrong, and you might want to take a look at this one today. Before we jump into the list, though, one of the things that I wanted to make known is that you, for this event, are not limited to just common and uncommon characters. So I wanted to make clear that for this event, for those of you looking to participate, you are not stuck on just playing your common and uncommon characters. You can play any character in the game. Where that common and uncommon limitation comes in is strictly with your deck building outside of your character. So just know that when you're putting your list together, that you don't have to look at just the common and uncommon characters. You can expand your horizons there. And later in the week, we'll take a look at a deck where I've actually used a character that is not a common or uncommon and put together a deck that I feel like has a very strong shot at taking down the whole thing. So, again, today, got that counter for Ojiro lined up for you. What I believe is a solid counter for Ojiro and also has a very strong chance at taking down this whole event. And honestly, if I was a bet man, this is probably where I'm putting my money, is on this character or some variation of this list even to take down the event. And that's Eraserhead 1 on Void. So, without any further ado, let's hop into that list, take a look. As always, if you enjoy the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if you enjoy the content. And I really appreciate that and hope you enjoyed today's list. Thanks. All right, so for today's list, we are again taking a look at Eraserhead Void. And what I think gives this deck a very solid chance at winning the entire Common Ground event is it really fits into all three criteria that I had mentioned as to what makes a deck strong in this format, or what I feel makes a deck strong in this format. So on his face, he has the ability to grant a speed bonus to all of your attacks, as well as to negate speed on all of your opponent's attacks. We've seen this be very, very strong in the open format, and I think it's going to be the exact same here. In fact, probably even more so important in this kind of a format. Combo that with the ability to just shut off your opponent's character when you need to with Erase. I think that makes him very, very strong. I fully anticipate we see a good amount of Ojiro decks being played, and Erase having the ability to turn off that damage bonus as well as prevent Ojiro from picking up an attack from his pool can really hinder what Ojiro is trying to do on a turn and make it very difficult for him to take you down. So that's where I see this deck really having a lot of success. Is it does meet the three criteria that I talked about that I feel make a good deck for this format. Is that it can pump your own stats via Eraserhead, giving your speed. You've got Small and Limber, which works really well with the Void Kick package that you've got access to. You've got cards like Manly Friendship to give damage, Harden to give damage, and All Worked Up, which can also give damage when discarded to pick up an erase. So a plethora of ways to give damage bonus. You've got the speed on your face. You've got Easily Excited for speed. So a lot of damage buff on your character and your foundations. You've also got Hardened Frenzy that can potentially add damage. Flying Thruster Kick can add damage. Binding Kick can add damage. Reciprocal Extend, while not adding to itself, can add damage to a future attack. Same thing with Jetstream Crash. So there's all kinds of stat padding to be found with this list. And again, as well as the ability to make blocking easier. Combo that with the fact that you're a 7-hander, you should be able to block quite a bit. And we do see other cards as well that will help blocking, like mainly Passionate Guy, building a foundation down, or Mediator to reduce speed. We do have access to card draw with calling for backup. And then the third criteria that I had that I'd mentioned yesterday was that I felt like you needed a way to have some kind of throw hate. And especially with this character being a 19 health character
I see this as being supremely important. You really can't risk taking too much damage because you don't have a lot to give. So on Void, you have access to Confused, which can get rid of the throw keyword, allowing you to block and take no damage. And you do also have Training with Gunhead, which will allow you to remove it to reduce the damage of throw to 2. So yes, you're still going to take some damage there. However, it's very minimal. And you do have the possibility to remove reduce to 2 and then use your manly friendships to reduce even further at times. So a lot of ways to negate damage, a lot of ways to get rid of throws, a lot of ways to reduce their stats while buffing your own, controlling your opponent's character. The other thing that if you take a look at this list, it has a very good block spread. A lot of the symbols in this format kind of lack, either in, like for example with the good symbol. If you take a look at that package that you've got access to on your foundations, you are very lacking on high blocks. And then if you look across the board at some other symbols, they're very lacking on low blocks. Where this does very, very well is it has a very solid spread of blocks. So again, being a 7-hander, you should be able to keep a couple of blocks in your hand and have good success with actually blocking your opponent's attacks. So that's why I think this deck is going to see a ton of success. Where I could see it struggling is that just like any Eraserhead, you really do need to play it pretty flawlessly to defend that 19 health. It's very low health total. You don't have any ways with this deck to really heal once you've taken the damage. So it's all about preventing as much as possible, blocking as much as possible, and surviving until you can have gotten through enough damage to take out your opponent. So that's where I see this deck struggling. But overall, I think this deck's a winner. If I was a betting man, this is where I would put my money. I really like this deck. I really like this list, and I think it's got a lot of potential. So hope you enjoyed the list. Let me know what you think. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Stay plus ultra.